Hello friends, welcome back to my tutorials on Android app development. In today's video, we are going to cover the following widgets: image view, checkbox, radio buttons, and progress bar. So let's understand these first. What is this that you upload on your WhatsApp profile? Yes, your DP or your display picture. This is nothing but an image view. A layman may take it as a profile picture, but to a programmer, this widget is called image view, which is used to display images in an Android applications. So let's now create an image view. So go to your design file, type an angle bracket and type image, select image view from the list, give its height as wrap content and width also as wrap content until and unless you want dimensions of your choice. Now we need to select an image to put it in here. So let's download it. Go to your browser, search for images and choose an image of your choice. Let me choose this one. Save image as. I save it to my desktop and name it as download. Make sure your image name should not contain any white spaces or any capital letters, otherwise it will not be recognized by Android Studio. Now copy this image, open Android Studio and go to your resource, your stock. If you remember from my previous videos, we will put all the media we use in here like a cupboard drawer, so that we can drag. Right click on this drawable folder, click on paste, press OK, again OK. Now there are two ways to set an image, for which we use two attributes. First is source or second is background. Source attributes hold the size of original image, while background attribute adjusted to fit the dimensions. Let us choose background image. So type background and select the name of your image from the list. Let's give it a margin of 30 dp, 20 dp, and most important, give it an ID, let's say image, and close the brackets. Now let's run the application and see what happens. And here it goes. You can see the image view as shown above. So, do you remember downloading Android Studio? You checked a box which asked you to accept the terms and conditions. That box was nothing but a widget called checkbox. A checkbox is a two-state button which is either checked or unchecked. Now let's create a checkbox. We will create something like this asking you about your hobbies. According to the design, first we need a text view, so let's create it. Choose an angle bracket, type text view, give its width and height as wrap content and set it text to what are your hobbies. Give it a text size of say 30 dp. Here dp means density per pixels. A text color, say color primary, choose it from the list and give it a margin of 30 dp. And most important, its ID as text1. Close the angle brackets. Now it's time to create a checkbox. So type an angle bracket, type checkbox, select it from the list, give its height and width as wrap content. Let's put it below our text view. So write below and select the ID as text1. Give it a margin, say 30 dp, and type the text that you want to display alongside. Let it be singing. So type singing. Let's increase the size to say 20 dp and close it. So give it an ID as check1. Now copy this whole checkbox and paste it below to create a new checkbox. You can do it the other way also. And put it below our checkbox 1. Change its ID to check2 and its text to dancing. Similarly, let's see how it looks. Similarly, create a third checkbox. Put it below our checkbox 2 and change the text to say reading books. And change its ID to check3. Now we also need a button to inform the user about the checkbox he has selected. So let's create a button. Type button, give its height width as wrap content, put it below our checkbox 3, align its center, set its margin as 10 dp and set it background to color primary to match our text view, and write its text as submit, and let's change the color to white. So select text color and hash code for white color is FFF. Let's change the text to bold. Choose text style attribute and select bold from the list. Close the bracket and let's run the application to see what happens. Notice the button tint is cyan here, which does not go with our button background color. So let's change it. Use the attribute button tint and choose the color as color primary. Do it for all the 3 checkboxes. Press the run button and let the application install. Now you can see the design looks perfect. Now it's time to do the backend part. So go to main activity.java file, invite our widgets here. Let's first call our button, type button and give it a name, say button. Our checkboxes, type CHECK and select checkbox from the list. Initialize all the 3 checkboxes at check1, check2 and check3. I think I forget to give an ID to my button, so let's give it. Give an ID as button. Now let's introduce our widgets to our Java file. Select button equal to find view by ID r.id.button. Click on this line, press Ctrl D 4 times and change the widgets accordingly. Check 1, check 2 and check 3. You can also type them individually. Note this part is very important, otherwise your app may definitely crash. Now, before proceeding further with the checkbox coding part, let me make you familiar with the two methods. First is checked method of checkbox, which is used to check whether a checkbox is checked or not. It returns true if a checkbox is checked. And second I am going to use is AND operator, which evaluates to true only if both the defined conditions are true, otherwise it returns false. So let's do that. Now we need to inform our user on button click about the checkbox he has selected. So let's set a on click listener or on our button. Type button dot set on click listener. The method on click will be auto generated. So let's first check if the user has selected all the three checkboxes. Set a condition if check 1 is checked, and if this condition evaluates to true, is equal to true, and I'm using this and operator so that it returns true only if all the checkboxes are checked. If this is the case, let's inform the user with the help of a toast. So create a new toast and type you selected singing, dancing and reading books. Now what if a user selects only two checkboxes, check 1 and check 2? Then let's check for these two checkboxes. Check 1 dot is checked equal to true, and check 2 dot is checked equal to true. If this is the case, let's inform the user with the help of a toast as create a new toast and write you selected singing and dancing. Now copy this else if part. To avoid writing it again and again, press Ctrl V and change the checkbox to if a user selects checkbox 2 and checkbox 3 simultaneously. Checkbox 1 and checkbox 3 simultaneously, then we need to put in the toast as you selected singing and reading books. Similarly, for checkbox 2 and 3 together, we will write you selected singing, not singing, reading books and dancing. And what if a user selects only checkbox 1? Then we need to write you selected singing. Copy this part, paste it and do the same for checkbox 2 and change the toast to you selected dancing. Similarly, for reading books, change the checkbox to checkbox 3 and change the toast to you selected reading books. And we are done. So let's run our application, and this is here. Let's check it for all the available options. Was all about checkbox. Have you ever given any online or offline quiz test in form of multiple choice question where you are prompted to select one of them? That is actually a radio group that prompts you to select one value among them. It is similar to checkbox that allows a user to choose only one of the predefined set of mutually exclusive options, where mutually exclusive means you cannot select two values at a time. To do that, we need to create a radio group. We will use the same design with the radio group instead of individual checkboxes. So let's first add a text view to display the question as per our design. Choose an angle bracket, type text view, give its width and height as wrap content, and set it text to what are your hobbies. Give it a text size of say 30 dp. Here dp means density per pixels. A text color, say color primary, choose it from the list and give it a margin of 30 dp. And most important, its id as text1. Close the angle brackets. So let's create a radio group. Type an angle bracket, choose radio group, give its height and width as wrap content, put it below our question, that is id text1. Give it a margin of 10 dp and its id as say radio. Close the group, and inside this group now you can create as many radio buttons as you want. So type radio button and give its width and height as wrap content and set it text to singing as per our design. Change the text style to bold and give it a button tint of primary color as in case of checkbox. Close the radio button, copy the previous button to create two more such buttons. Copy it and paste it below. Change its text to dancing and again copy the same to create a third button. Change its text to reading books. And that's all. Now let's see how it looks in our mobile phone. Click the run button and here it goes. It displays all the radio buttons and see we can only select one at a time. Before moving on to the coding part, let's give id to our buttons. Give id as button 1 and similarly copy this line, paste it to other two buttons and change its id to button 2. Similarly on the third button, paste the line and change its id to button 3. Now go to your main activity.java file. It's time to do some coding. Let's now introduce our new widgets to our Java file. So create a radio group widget and name it as radio group. Put a semicolon. Introduce it or locate it with the help of find view by id method. Radio group is equal to find view by id r.id. We gave it id as radio, so type here radio. Before moving on, let me make you familiar with the onCheckChanged method of radio group. This method of radio group is called to keep a check on the selected radio button. It performs the corresponding task when a user switches from one button to other. It accepts two parameters. One is radio group and the other is checked ID. Radio group is the group that we created in our XML file, and the checked ID keeps track of newly checked radio button. So let's now use it. Type radio group dot set on check change listener, in the bracket type new radio group dot on check change listener, and the method will be auto generated. See, it have two parameters, radio group and checked ID. So let's use a switch statement to switch between the ID of our radio buttons. Pass the parameter to switch as checked ID, put in two curly braces, and type first case as ID of our button 2, r.id.button1. Now if button 1 is selected, we again need to inform the user with the help of a toast. So let's create a new toast and type the text as you selected singing. And put a break statement to close this case. Copy this case to do the same for next two buttons. Paste it below twice. Change the IDs to button 2 and button 3. Also change the text to you selected dancing and you selected reading books. Now let's run the application again. As you can see, the toast is here. Now, along with showing toast, let's try something new. We will also change the text of this question to selected value. Instead of using text attribute in our XML file, here we can also set in our Java file programmatically. Rather, we can set any attribute programmatically in our Java file. So along with toast, let's change the text to the selected value with the help of setText method, which is used to set the text in Java file. So let's introduce our text view to the Java file. Go to your Java file, select the text view widget and name it as text1. Locate it using find view by ID method. Is equal to find view by ID r.id.text1. And in our switch statements, type text1 dot set text, and in inverted commas write the text you want to display. Like here it is singing. Copy this line to the other two case statements and change the text to dancing for the second statement, and copy it again to the third button and change the text to reading books. Let's now run the application again and see what happens. You can see that as I change radio buttons, that question text is also changed to the selected value. I hope by now you are clear with the difference between checkbox and a radio button. Checkbox is an independent widget. It does not depend on other checkboxes. We can select more than one checkbox at a time, while a radio button comes in a group. We can select only one value at a time. Have you ever downloaded a file and seen a circle which keeps on rotating to show progress of your file? It reached 90% and the download failed. Really heartbreaking, right? That irritating thing is a widget called progress bar. It is used to show the progress of a task. Let's now create it. Type in angle bracket, type progress bar, select it from the list, give its height and width as 100 dp each. Now let's put it into the center of screen and change its color using indeterminate tint attribute, and that's it. Color primary and close the brackets. Let's run the application, and here you can see a rotating circle which is a progress bar. Now I hope you all are familiar with some basic widgets. In nutshell, as the word contain different species like humans, animal, plants and insects, similarly our application contain various widgets like text view, edit text, checkbox and radio button. As a species, say humans have different properties as his or her height, weight, color, etc. Similarly, a widget have different attributes or properties, we can say, like its width, height and color. As value of weight property of a man can be measured in kgs, say 50 kg. Similarly, the value of size attribute of a widget is measured in dp, that is density per pixel, say 50 dp. You can just type in the name of widget in angle brackets and type the attribute of your choice to give it a desired value. Android Studio has everything pre-made. You just need to think of it and select it from the list. Only this much for today's lecture, but you should not end your work with this video. Go, Google some more interesting attributes of your favorite widget and try them out. See you in my next video. Till then, keep watching and keep learning. Subscribe for more such educational content.